Maypop is the common name for the passion flower. I decided to keep the name Maypop Herb Shop, and then I just added Miss Ann's because it's my Maypop now, right? And in the South, there's like Miss Ann, like you would be Miss Shirley. I almost called you Miss Shirley when I got online with you, but it's a form of respect, and how folks address each other down here. So now it's Miss Ann's Maypop Herb Shop, and I feel like it's important that this place is that the herb shop is run, owned, and operated by an Indigenous woman. I also work with doctors. We have doctors who send some of their patients down here, and we have specific formulas that we've worked with them for their patients. So folks will come in here and get the herbal formulas that their doctors sent them down here for. There is no place like New Orleans in the whole United States. I love the culture. It's sort of a bridge between the South and Caribbean cultures and South United States, Southern. It's very unique, and I felt like I could really fit in here. And I've been here for 14 years now. I raised my kids down here, and
the culture is really woven through all sorts of indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples there, you're right, from the Caribbean. And it's really a very interesting mishmash of cultures, I'd say.
It's a gumbo of cultures. That's how we say it down here. It's a gumbo of cultures, and really New Orleans, in the indigenous language here, it's reviving the name of Bolbancha, which in Choctaw means land of many languages. This used to be a traditional sort of center of trading, right? Trading post.
And White Hat was rewarded for her work with a Restoring Regenerative Agriculture grant.
It's an unrestricted grant, so I can use it I'm actually using the grant to help support my second year. I'm in clinical herbalism program at the Vermont Center for Integrative Herbalism. And it's akin to medical school for herbalists. It's really very rigorous program. And so I get to use part of the award to support my education. We're formulating equivalents to a lot of Western medicine, right? So that's where I was really first exposed to this, like, kind of apothecary and run by like brown people. Most of these places aren't accessible to us. If you go into our herb stores in Rapid City, they're really nice, but they're not accessible. And that's something that I'm always working towards, to make sure that our people have access, because we deserve access to good things. We deserve access to the highest quality, sustainably harvested organic medicines that are really made in a respectful way and brewed for folks in a respectful way. So that's my goal, is to bring the medicines back home to South Dakota on this. So I'm started through this funding with the grant award, made my first trip back home with a project name, sort of a theme of my work, called Indigenous Herbalism on the Medicine Trail. That's sort of the theme, to take my medicine on the road, meeting with Indigenous community members along the way, wherever my travels are, sharing medicine, and also learning and connecting with folks. So that's really, I'm like living my dream right now. I worked really hard to get here, so I'm really excited to be here. Because of our colonization, we lost we lost that direct connection with our herbal remedies and those pathways for sharing that, right? Because of our boarding school experiences, and the fact that the in American Indian Religious Freedom Act hadn't even been passed till the 1970s, right? So a lot of this knowledge was it was like really underground still, and folks still had a little bit of a resistance, or not a resistance, but I would say just a little bit of, they were just not really afraid, but they just didn't really know how to work with the plants, a very, very cautious approach to plants. And so we would do these herb walks, and it was so awesome with the community members and relatives back home, and folks coming out and saying, I remember my grandma used to work with this, and she called it this, and this is how they worked with it. Or my auntie's favorite plant was this. So the knowledge is there and coming back.
It's getting warmer out, the days are getting longer, and I'm looking forward to gardening. For a beginner, what would you say I should put in my herb garden?
I would say to put in your basic culinary kitchen herbs. They are so medicinal. Grow your sage, your culinary sage, and your thyme. Thyme is an amazing kitchen medicine, okay? Grow your thyme, your oregano, your rosemary. Like those are just just a few right there that have very beneficial medicinal qualities to them. Yes. Thyme especially is one that is really effective. Antibacterial, antiviral. There's a lot of medicinal qualities to them. You can use them in your teas. You can do, if you have sinus stuff, you can do sinus steams with things. And also if you grow onions, grow your little onions. If you got a little patch to grow some onions, that's a really wonderful medicine, kitchen herb. Western herbalism is really, of course, built on the foundations of indigenous herbalism. We've just never been given proper attributes. We had these folks coming in, colonizing the lands, taking this knowledge from indigenous folks, but not once ever acknowledging where they got this knowledge from. So I'd like to reclaim that knowledge.